Let's cut this board first. Next to it are its side panels. Need to be cut first. Bring your own scissors and a lighter. Cut it at this joint. Don't cut the grid board when cutting. Trim the extra one. Put the side panels aside. Take out this spider thread. The lines on the surface are pulled out. Let's cut the first beginning here. Because it's a bit short here, it may be a little inconvenient when doing it. We need to cut it off at this root here. The root of the bulb is cut here. Just cut it out. Use a lighter to burn it in time, because it is made of this cotton thread. After we cut it open, easy to cross wires. Use the lighter in time. Burn it. Fix it. Burn a few more times. Then squeeze it tightly with your hands. Prevent it from opening this string well. Let it fix. Burn it with a lighter a few times in time. Then this grid board. It doesn't matter. You can start sewing on either side. Now, this side of me is the wide and short side. This side is the long side. Let's go to the top hole. They come in from underneath up. After wearing it on his side. That's right. Go through the grid on his right. Then go back to the first square. Wear it from the bottom up. Go back to the first grid. You can take out your crochet. And here it's going to have a little coil. Pull it up a bit. Then the crochet goes in. Put this thread. Hook it over. Tie a knot here and fix it. When the line is tightened, don't pull the board too hard. We can use our left hand. Squeeze your fingers and press this thread. Hold down this line. Tighten with your right hand. Pull this cotton thread when pulling instead of tugging at the board. If you pull the board hard, it may break the board. Tension, it won't come loose. After tying the knot, now we're done. Now let's start wearing. We usually have 3 empty grids. Now our line is here, 3 empty squares. 123 empty 3. Insert the needle in the 4th grid. Take another look, and that line is right at the top there. Empty 3 squares. 1, 2, 3, and then insert the needle in the 4th hole. Crochet the thread. After inserting the needle, hook the thread out. Hook it out and pull it up. Continue with the same 3 empty squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th hole into the needle. Pull this line down. Pull down and go through the 4th hole. This cotton thread has always been on this crochet. Is that so? Then hook up this section of cotton thread. After hooking it up, this cotton thread just hooked. You need to go through the cotton thread that you passed through first just now. And pull it down. It is equivalent to putting these two together. And here we are. Also 1, 2, 3, 4 pull the needle into the 4th hole. Now is the last aperture. Let's see if yours is like this. At the end of the needle is the last grid. It's just right. Okay, this row is already worn. Flip it over and take a look. Go ahead and wear the second row. Let's go to the right. Empty 2 squares between each row. Start wearing the second row to empty 2 squares. It's here now. Empty 2 squares, empty 1 or 2, insert the needle in the third hole. Hook the line up. Between each row, now it's time to wear the second row. Between each row are 2 empty squares. Okay, let's go up. It's still 1 2 3 4. Empty 3 into the needle 1 2 3 4 in the fourth grid. 1 2 3 4. Start wearing the third row. The third row is also to the right. Empty 2 squares. 1, 2. Insert the needle in the third grid. Empty 2 grids and insert the needle in the third grid. Now go down. Still 3 empty squares. 1 2 3 4. Insert the needle in the fourth grid. Okay, down to the bottom aperture again. Okay, row 3 is already dressed. Between each row are 2 empty. Then in our row is 3 empty grids. Come and wear it yourself. I'll just skip it. Here's the last one. And I'll start here. Still 3 empty squares. 1 2 3 4. Insert the needle in the fourth grid. Then 1 2 3 4 is inserted into the fourth grid. Okay, it's done here. Let's tighten this thread. Don't take off the crochet yet. Crochet on top first. Take out scissors. At the root. Cut it at the root. After cutting, use a lighter to burn it. Everyone must use a lighter to burn it in time. After fixing, pull the thread up with crochet. Okay, after pulling it out, knot this thread. Method of tying knots. The same way you tied the knot at the beginning. The eyelet next to it goes down. Then come back to this first one. Insert this hole just now. Then you can crochet. Let's go through this coil. Hook this thread over. Press this thread with your left hand. Just tighten the thread. Don't yank at the board. Okay, it's fixed. We wore a total of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. There are 9 rows in total. Okay, our big board. After wearing it, let's sew the side panels. Take out the pin and 2 semicircles. Or milk cotton. Let's sew this little ring first. How many lines do you use? This long side of the grid. Actually, it doesn't take that long, almost less than the length of a grid. About 10 cm or so. About 10 cm, then let's cut another one. Put this cotton thread on your finger. The pinhole is placed on top of this thread. Twist left and right a few times. This thread will go through the pinhole, then just pull it out. When we sew with a single thread. this little grid, positive and negative. Either side is fine. The rings are on top of the grid. The first row is empty. The little ring is in the middle. There are 2 empty squares on the left and right. From the second row below here. This is the first row. This is the second row. Second row here through the small ring. Then it goes down from above. Let's leave about 3 厘米 of thread behind us. Press it down with your back finger. Then go to the right. And then from above, wear it. Then the third grid here. And then we're going back. Reinforce again. If the line is still sufficient, then we can put 2 more stitches here. Okay, take this needle off. Tie the 2 threads to the back. You can tie it several times, okay? After fastening, leave a little bit of this line. Here, cut it out. Leave a little because you cut from the root. Does it flutter easily? Leave a little. That's it. This little ring is very strong. Then another small board and small ring. The practice is exactly the same. Everyone sew it up by yourself. After sewing the small ring, then sew this ball line. Go through this ball line. We are the same, or cut out the previous paragraph. From the root here. Then use a lighter to burn it in time. This little board, the sewing method is slightly different from the large one, not through the top grid. It's 2 empty ones above. Go through the third hole. From the third hole, there are 2 empty squares above. 1、2 empty 2 squares through the third hole. Then go through the aperture next to it. Then go back to the first hole we wore. And then, how to tie the knot here? It's the same way you tie a knot on a big board. Knot it first. When everyone wears this ball line, be sure to pay attention. This little ring is now charging up in its position, facing ourselves. Zhao Huang is now rushing on top of the board. Then face yourself, balls and rings. The ball is below. The small ring is on top. Make no mistake. It's still the same 3 empty squares. 1、2、3 insert a needle into the fourth hole. 1、2、3、4. Then count to the side 1、2. The second row is 2 empty squares. 1、2. Insert a needle into the third hole. Go up 123. Empty 3 squares. Insert a needle into the fourth hole. This little ring, get it first. Let it rush up 1、2、3、4. Then walk to the side. 1 to empty 2 grid. Then the third grid is here. He also has 2 empty squares above here. This is also the last grid.